Hey, welcome back to Rosco Reviews. On today's episode, we're going to be resurfacing a skylight. We have an 18-foot pyramid-shaped skylight that is between 20 and 25 years old, so it's starting to get really dirty looking. The surface of the skylight gets little micro cracks from being out in the sun and the weather, and then those collect dirt, so it gives it this dingy look and kind of prevents the light from shining through like it should. So the process for removing these cracks and resurfacing the skylight, we're going to need to sand off the top layer. And to do that, I've got a piece of sandpaper on a stick because I don't want to stand on my skylight. I'll put a link for my sanding device here in the description of the video down below. I'm going to want to sand my skylight by hand. I don't want to use a power sander on it because if I go too far, then I could put a hole in the skylight and that would be bad. This extendable piece of sandpaper on a stick will allow me to sand all the way up to the peak of the pyramid without actually having to stand on the skylight because that would be awfully dangerous. Once we've sanded down the cracks, then we can rinse it all off to get the dirt off of there. It should be a lot clearer at that point, and then we can put our coating on it. The coating that we're going to be using is from Countryman Coatings. I got this on Amazon, and I'll put a link for it in the description of the video. We'll roll it on, and then once it's dry, it should be all sealed up and look a lot clearer than it does now. See all these little micro cracks in the surface of this, and they collect all the dirt in there. So we're going to smooth this out, and then when we rinse it off, it should clean this up, let a lot more light shine through here. Some of the panels were worse than others. This was the worst panel. This is after I've sanded it. I haven't even cleaned it yet, and it's already lightened it up quite a bit compared to without sanding it. So we're getting that top layer of dirt off, and then we'll rinse it off, which will hopefully clean this up even a little bit more before we clear coat it. To rinse it off after I sand it, I'm using this cheap power washer that I got off of Amazon. I like using this for the roof jobs because it's really lightweight. I can just bring it up on the roof with me. It's electric, so I don't have to worry about it tipping over and stuff. In fact, when I'm using it, I lay it down like this. Been rinsing it off. This is what it looks like after I've rinsed it off as opposed to when it's just been sanded. So it's going to let in a lot more light. You can tell that it's definitely lighter now. It's not perfect, but it's smoother than it was, and it's going to let in quite a bit more light than it did before. I've now finished the first coat of my clear sealant. It says to give it 2 to 4 hours to cure, and then we'll put a second coat on it. And if I have enough in my 5-gallon bucket, I'd like to do a third coat, but on the bucket it's recommended at least 2. The coating went on really smooth. This is the next day, so it's all dry. It's not tacky anymore. It went on really smooth. Even in the areas where there was all like the micro cracking, like this here had all the micro cracking, you can't feel them anymore. It filled in all the cracks, so it's all nice and smooth. I think it looks great right now. My only concern would be yellowing. So if it's after it's been out in the sun for a year, if it starts to turn real yellow, then maybe that's not going to be great, but we'll see. Only time will tell. I will check back on it here in a year, and I will update in the comments on how it looks after a year.